Okay, so Jeph, and he said, I am Jeph Loeb the Third.
It's true.
Jeph Loeb the Third. I think that should be his new thing. Jeph Loeb the Third created Red Hulk, not Jeph Loeb.
And Robert Liefeld. Anyway, to finish that story, I did not truncate my name to J-E-P-H. It's not a Hollywood affectation. Because you blame my mother, actually on the way home from the hospital, when I was a little bitty baby, she did not like the idea of there being two Josephs in the house, so that she'd be going Joe, and then she'd be hearing yes, yes, and so she took the O and the S out of Joseph and gave you J-E-P-H. So there you go, there's a secret origin.
It's awesome, it's very unique. I still have yet to meet a Jeph.
I'll tell my favorite Jeph story, which is a true story. This is a big reveal. This is not the first time I've been an executive now that I'm the head of television at Marvel. Once upon a time when I was 23 years old, they actually did have television then. I was up in Canada and I was working for the pay cable network up in Toronto, which was sort of the equivalent of HBO up there, called First Choice. And we had just moved into a brand new building and the telephone system was not working yet, the intercom system and the phones, and so they actually had it back then, but it wasn't ready yet. And there were speakers in the ceilings to make announcements, and my assistant came in, and of course, because I was 23, my assistant was older than I was, and said, do you know that the receptionist thinks that your name is pronounced Jeph? And I said, that's really not possible. And she says, no, she thinks it's pronounced Jeph. And sure enough, over the loudspeaker, I heard, Jeph, call on line 1, Jeph, call on line 1. So I took the call, and then I wandered down after the reception area, and there was a very bright, nice young lady who was there, who obviously had never seen J-E-P-H spelled out on a piece of paper. And so I said to her, look, I know it's a little weird, I'm from LA, and you're from Toronto, but it's P-H like in phone. And she nodded and said, oh, I'm terribly sorry, I got it. And hand to God, this is a true story, I am walking back to my office, and I hear, Jephone, call on line 2. Jephone, call on line 2.
I love it. It's a true story. People only butcher my last name. They don't get tripped up with Rob. Already this morning I'm Liefeld, and some other horrible pronunciation, but it was like that since I've been in school. The teacher would, first day, Rob Liefeld? It's lie! Or as Todd McFarlane, when he was angry at me 12 years ago, my favorite interview ever in the Comics Journal, when we were not friends anymore, but now we're in love again. He said, his name is Rob Liefeld. He robs and he lies. And I was like, that is awesome. My whole life I never heard that. And in one soundbite, I was like, that is the best insult of my entire life. 26 years I hadn't heard that I robbed, and they said his parents named him appropriately. I'm like, that's awesome. So, I mean, honestly, and he is like Rain Man level savant, so Todd's a genius.
So, as you did notice, he does an awesome Todd McFarlane. Now, I'm going to put him.
It's awful. It's a terrible Todd. It was really good 10 years ago. Now it's this horrible butchered version.
Now, I am going to put you on the spot.
Yes.
Friends of ours have told me that when I leave the table,
yes, I can do you.
That you do me.
But I can only do your phone voice. You're different in real life.
I don't understand.
I can't do you. No.
Okay, it's not, I've never heard you do it. Every time I've asked you, you refuse to do it.
It's not an invitation.
Make
I
it
won't do it. I don't draw feet either, so it doesn't work. 25 years, that's not working. I don't respond to peer pressure. So, okay. But someday, maybe you and me tonight at dinner, I'll do you the Jeph Loeb.
Okay. All right. If I hear it, I'll tell you guys about it tomorrow.
Just record it.
Rob, you and I have no idea where this is going.
No, let's go there.
You and I met for the first time. To my memory, it was at WonderCon.
That's right.
And I will tell my side of the story, and then he will tell his side of the story. was, and actually still remain, a big Rob Liefeld fan. Hawk and Dove.
He's the one.
I am the one. I'm the guy that goes on.
And my kids.
I go on the boards every night. I like Rob.
Dude, they leave me alone now.
You know, why is that?
They're after new targets.
Who are they after?
Because my theory is if you survive, then they just leave you alone.
Yeah.
Look at athletes. They hate, and they go, oh, he's not going anywhere. Kobe's awesome. Sorry, I don't know.
Do they love John Byrne? He didn't go anywhere.
He flushed himself down the toilet. I mean, that was a self-destruction.
Okay.
I don't know, who do they hate now? Maybe it's still me, I don't know. I haven't been on the boards, so.
But you tweet.
I do, I love tweeting.
Well, now why do you tweet?
Because they're like live-action, real-time thought moments. Everybody tweets but you.
That's true.
It's true. Casada's on there.
Yeah.
The new EIC, Axel is on there. Bendis is on there. But you do not tweet at all.
And John's does. You know, we can do it across the side.
Jim Lee?
Jim Lee does.
Yeah.
Eddie does. I see Eddie out there.
Okay, so tell your story how we met.
Okay, so we actually did meet one other way before, which you don't remember, which is that when I was looking for an artist on Challenge of the Unknown, Barbara, then Randall, then Kiesel, now Randall again, who was our editor, took me around at San Diego, and this was in 1989, so you had just started out, and had shown me Rob's samples, which I still have. I also have samples from two other guys, Jim Lee and Los Potasio, and all three of them told me, no, we're gonna go draw big, huge, successful books.
I never did that.
Not your Challenge to the Unknown, thank you very much. I don't remember what I think you had your eye on the Avengers. They talked about the X-Men.
No, go ahead, I'll tell you later.
Okay. Was it Justice League?
No.
What was it? What was the one you wanted to draw?
I literally just did Hawk and Dove.
No, I know that, but
and
you...
in the middle of Hawk and Dove, Bob Harris called me and said, would you like to do the X-Men? And I dropped it, I was like this. What? Is this really Bob Harris? Are you kidding me? X-Men? Holy crap, I'll call you back. And I literally like ran around the room, pitched myself, and then I called him back to see if that was really him. And he's like, yeah, Rob, what's the deal? And I'm like, are you really offering me the X-Men books? Holy crap, from Hawk and Dove to the X-Men? Like, I don't know what deal I made with the devil somewhere along the way, but that worked out for me.
No, I had a very simple situation. I remember exactly where it was. The phone rang, and it was Lisa Patrick. And Lisa Patrick says, hi, I work for Marvel Comics, and I work for Bob Harris, and we were wondering whether or not you were interested in writing the X-Men. And I was like, who is this? And because all I had done the one Batman Halloween special. And she said, we read the Halloween special, and we think that you should write the X-Men. And I was like, no, seriously, who is this? And she said, I have 3 questions. 1, are you interested? And I said, yes. She said, 2, are you available? I said, yes. She said, 3, do you know how things really work in the X-Men office? I said, no. She goes, perfect. And what that meant in those days was that you would write a script, and then you'd see the script lettered, and then you'd read the comic, and it would say something different. Because the editorial hands were all over what you were doing. And the one thing that was really, really curious was Bob Harris didn't think that the X-Men, particularly the books that I was on, which was Cable and X-Force, should have any humor in them. And so I would put in jokes, and sometimes he would leave the setup and not the punchline. So there's a moment where Domino and Cable are like in the future, or they're in hell or something like this, and she says, do you know what this reminds me of? And Cable says, that weekend we spent in Cleveland, and they left out the weekend we spent in Cleveland. And so she just says, do you know what this reminds me of? And it goes to the next panel. and I called and I said, what's going on? Oh, Bud didn't think it was funny. We don't want to say things bad about Cleveland. I said, fine, we could have picked any place else. We just get rid of it.
That's how they faked you. That's great. That is so true.